everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Inka. So today's class is the continuation of our previous class. So in today's lesson, we are going to be learning how to make this outer pocket with facing and how you can turn it with your lining to achieve a perfect and clean finishing. All right, so if you're new to this channel, please kindly take a moment to subscribe, and to my old subscriber, you're welcome back. I love you. So take different seats and let's get started. We are going to be cutting the lower part of our gown now. So my fabric is folded into two, and I'm going to be folding it like this again, such that I'll be leaving my zip allowance here. This part is going to be my zip allowance. This part here is unfold. This is unfold. So I use 1.5 for my zip allowance when cutting the upper part. So I'm going to be using the same thing here. So I'll refold it and make sure I have 1.5 is here now for my zip allowance. This part is 1.5, and that is my zip allowance. So what I'll do is, for me to measure from here, I'll measure 1/2 inch. That will be my seam allowance for joining this to the upper part. So this is it. This is 1/2 inch, and that is going to be my seam allowance for joining it to the upper part. So the next I'm going to do is to measure my hip line. Starting from this line, I'll measure my hip line. Then after that, I'll measure the remaining length of my gown. My total gown length is 42. So 42 minus 17. I already used 17 for the half length upward. So 17 minus 42, that will give me 25 inches. That will give me 25. So from here, I'll measure down the 25 inches. Then I will extend the lines. This is my hip line, and then this is the remaining length of my gown. All your circumference measurements will start from. So the next thing I'm going to do now is for me to input my circumference measurement. So on the waistline, I will input my waist circumference measurement divided by 4. My waist circumference is 32 divided by 4. That will be 8 inches. I'll measure 8 inches, and I'm going to be adding that. So I'm going to be using 1 inch for the dart, and then my seam allowance of 2 inches. Then I'll come to the hip line. I'm going to input my hip circumference measurement divided by 4. My hip circumference is 42 divided by 4. That will be 10.5. I'll measure 10.5. Then my seam allowance. Then whatever I have here, I'm going to subtracting 1.5 from it, and I'll put it at the hem line. I'll subtract 1.5 from it and put it at the hemline. Here I have 12.5. So minus 1.5, that is going to be 11. So I'm going to be putting 11 here. If you like, you can pencil it more. I will use the cuff parts to connect from hip to the waistline. Can you see? So the next thing now is quickly contour the hip line. So here at the upper part, I'll go in by 1/2 inch. On the waistline, I'll go in by 1/2 inch. And on the hem line, I'll go in by 1 inch. So from this 1/2 inch, I'll connect it to the hip line. And then from this 1 inch, I'll connect it to the hip line. So we're going to be cutting this out now. And we're going to be adding our seam allowance. If you notice, I did not add seam allowance here. We're going to be adding our seam allowance on the main fabric. So I'm going to cut this out. So I added 2 inches seam allowance to the lower part. Don't forget to notch your dart position. So I'm done cutting it out. You can see. So this is it. So what I need to do next is, for me, because I don't want the front part to have that. So I'm going to be doing some modification in front, because I don't want that in front. So I'll remove the back. If you open the back, you have something like this. So we are done with the back. You keep it aside. So I don't want the front to have that. So what I'll do, I'll come to the side seam. I'll measure 1 inch inward. You know, we added 1 for the dart. So measure 1 inch inward this way. Then you measure 5 inches downward like this. And then you're going to blend together with this curve like this. Can you see? This is the way I've done it. Then you're going to cut this part off. Can you see? Simple. All right, so the next thing now is for us to you have to remove the lining, and then you're going to be constructing your pocket on the main fabric. So take the lining out of the way. You're done with the lining for now. So this is the front. If you open your front, this is how it's looking. So I'll fold it back into 2 this way. Then I'm going to be constructing my pockets. We are going to be marking out the position of our pocket now, and this is the front part of the skirt, and this is the main fabric. We already removed the lining. On the waistline, I'm going to come in by 4 inches. You come in by 4 inches on the waistline, inches like this. Then from the waistline again, I'll measure 8 inches downward. 8 inches. Then from this 4 inches, you connect it to this 8 inches mark using the curved part of your ruler. If you like, you can also slant it. You can slant it if you want. It can be slanted, but you know, from the picture it was curved, so you are going to be using the curved part of the ruler to connect it. So now that we already shook this out, the next thing we need to do now is for us to cut another piece of fabric that measured 14 inches in width, and then the length will be 12 inches. The length will be 12 inches, then the width will be 14 inches. So you can keep this aside. You'll be needing to, because you know pockets is 2 sides. So fold your fabric, you'll be needing to. So my fabric is folded into two because I want to cut out 2 pockets. So I'll measure 14 inches. 14 inches. So the width here is 14 inches and then the length is 12 inches. So I'll cut this out. So if you open it, it's 2 pieces. So leave them on top of each other like this. Then you place your skirt part on top of it this way. Can you see? Let the waistline align, and then let the hip, this is the hip part of our skirt. You can see this is the hip part of our skirt. Let it align with the one underneath. Then if you notice, there will still be excess here, which you are going to be trimming out. You're going to be trimming this part out on the fabric that you place underneath the skirt. You can see. You are not trimming your skirt, but you are trimming the pieces that is underneath the skirt. All right, so this is it. So you remove the pieces. If you remove it, if you remove these pieces, this is what you have. You know, you already have the shape of the hip here now. So the next thing you want to do now, this other part that you have not shaped, you are going to flip it like this to the other side. Then you place this skirt on top of it again. Then you also align it the way you did previously. You align it, but this time around you're going to be cutting it together with the skirt on this your line. So I'll leave this one. Now let's use a plain fabric to do the illustration. 14 inches width, the depth is 12 inches. So I'll bring my skirt, I'll place it on top of this. This is the 14 inches width. Place your skirt pattern on top of it. Place your skirt on top of it like this. Make sure you align them properly. Can you see? Place them on top of it like this. See the way I position it? This place, they are equal here on the waistline, but they are also equal on this hip line side. The next thing we do now is to trace out this shape here. So can you see? Can you see? This is how it is. So if you remove the skirt from it, you have this shape here, like hip kind of shape. So the next thing now is to also shape this side of the pocket. You need to shape this side of the pocket. So what you need to do is for you to just turn this side to this side, this way. Look at the way I'm doing it. Flip it like this. Can you see? So this part is still straight. So place the skirt on top of it again, this way. This time around, you also align it. Let it match properly on the waistline. Can you see? Match it properly on the waistline, and also at this hip side, let them align the way I'm showing you here. Can you see? So the next thing you're going to do now is for you to cut out the shape that you already create on your skirt. You cut it out on both the skirt and also this piece. Can you see? You cut it out. So if you remove it, this is what you have. All right. So if you open your skirt this way, you match this on top of it now, right side to right side, and then you're going to take to the sewing machine. You're going to be stitching this part. So I'll show you how to do that. You know, they have the same shape, so you match them on top of each other, right side to right side, this way, and then you're going to stitch this part. I'm still going to be loosening this, so I'm going to stitch with a gathering stitch so that it can be easy for me to remove. I just want us to understand this pocket side before we proceed with our tutorial. So can you see? So the next thing now is for you to notch this. Don't forget, you're going to be notching it. All right, so the next thing now is for you to flip it to the wrong side of the dress, this way, and then it's going to look like this. Then you iron this part very well. So after ironing it, this is how it is, and this is still the wrong side of our dress. So you are going to flip it this way and ensure this side matches with this hip line here, like this. Then you iron it again. Can you see? So this is how it is now. The next thing now is for you to go to the sewing machine, and then you're going to stitch here, the bottom part of the pocket. Just stitch it. So you're going to be stitching this bottom part of the pocket. You can see, just stitch this place close. Can you see? We have stitched the pocket here. So you are going to now top stitch this pocket side to the lower part of the skirt. Can you see these 2 points? Just stitch on it together like this. Can you see? Here also, you can also top stitch it as well. The pocket and this, just run a stitch so that you can keep it in place. And that's it, the pocket is ready. Can you see? I'm done stitching this bottom part, and I've also top stitch this side together this way, and I've also done this. I've done the same thing here as well. So if you turn it to the good side now, this is what you have. You can see the pocket is ready, and then you still have your shape and everything remain the same. If you bring back the lining, you can see everything is still in order. Can you see? Everything is still in order. You are still having the same shape, nothing changes. All right, so you can continue sewing your skirt the way you want to. You understand? So this is it. Can you see? That is our pocket. You see? So the pocket is ready. So I'm going to be loosening this out now so that I can continue with this colored. It's because it wasn't really showing. That's why I just used this to illustrate it for us. All right, so that I can continue with the green. All right, so the hip side. So flip it this way, and then you're going to place this right on top of it. Make sure you align them together. Then you cut this out. So this is the pocket. Can you keep the pocket aside? You are going to be cutting out facing for this side with the white. So fold the fabric into two, and then you are going to place the skirt on top of, and then you are going to cut this shape out. Then from the side here, measure 3 inches downward, 3 inches. Measure 3 inches like that. Then you cut it to that 3 inches point. Can you see? Like this. Remove this skirt out of the way. Then you measure 3 inches all around the pocket. 3 inches. That's going to be the facing for the pocket. Measure 3 inches here. Three inches, 3 inches, 3 inches. Then you connect it together. Can you see? Then next thing now is to cut this out. This is the facing for the pocket. Can you see? This is the facing for the pocket. So the next thing you have to do now is for you to fuse this facing. You're going to be fusing it with your stay. Then when you are done, you're going to be pushing 1/2 inch inward with your iron. Just bend it like this with your iron, and then I will tell you what next to do. So I'm done putting my interfacing on it. So the next thing now is to bend this side with 1/2 inch like this. Just bend it 1/2 inch, and then you're going to iron it down. After bending the side with 1/2 inch, you can see. So you open your skirt. This is the right side of my skirt that is facing up. I'm going to place the facing on top of it this way. So you place the facing on top of it. You put your hemming gum inside, and then you are going to iron. When you are done ironing, you take to the sewing machine and top stitch this part. You can also just pin it. If you don't want to use hemming gum, you can just pin it, and then you take to your sewing machine and top stitch on top of it. Can you see? So now I'll take to the sewing machine. I will top stitch here and also here. So this is it. We are done with the facing. We are done stitching the facing, and this is it from the wrong side. From the wrong side, this is it, and then from the good side, this is how it's looking. Can you see? So the next thing now is to attach our pocket. So place the pockets right side to right side. Right side to right side. So if you place it wrongly, the shape will not jive. So you have to place it correctly. Right side to right side like this. Can you see that the shape matches properly now? So you take to the sewing machine, you stitch together with 1/2 inch, allowance. And you also do the same thing to the second side, right side to right side. All right. So you open it and then you top stitch on the pocket bag. This pocket bag, you top stitch on it so that it can remain inside. Can you see? You repeat the same thing to the second side. This is it. So this is it. So you turn the pocket to the wrong side. Turn your fabric to the wrong side this way. And then you bring your pocket this way. Bring it inside and then you iron. Done ironing, you bring the pockets this way, match this side together with this point here, let them align properly at this your side seam, and then you iron again. Iron it again. So you now take to the sewing machine and then you stitch here together. When you are done stitching, you top stitch this side together and also here. Mash it together and also here. This part here. Then when you are done, you're going to be stitching this place also. Just top stitch on it so that it can remain in place. And also this part, you can see it's overlapping each other here by ½ inch. I'm done with this side. This is the pocket. So you also repeat the same thing to this other side. That's it. The pocket is ready. The pocket is, so this is it. So you place the lining on top of it, right side to right side. Then you first stitch the bottom part of the lining. Then when you are done, you drag it up to come and meet each other here. Then you close the side. But then you know you still need to attach the upper part of the gown to it. So you are going to be leaving like 2 inches here and here. So you don't sew it completely, so that you'll be able to attach lining to lining for the upper part and also fabric to fabric for the upper part. So I've stitched the lining and the main fabric together here. I've stitched it together at the hemline, and you can see this is how it's looking. So the next thing you do now is to drag the lining to come and meet the waistline of the main fabric like this. Can you see? That way the lining will drag up some part of the fabric upward. You can see. Then because you need to join the upper part to it, is from the top, and from that 2 inches sew it all the way down. You do the same thing to this other side. Reason is that we still need to join this skirt to the upper part of our gown, so that's why you need to leave 2 inches so that you'll be able to join lining to lining for the upper part and also fabric to fabric. Hope it's clear. So I'll match them properly on the waistline, and then I'll join together. I'll leave 2 inches, then from here I'll join all the way down, and also the same thing to the other side. And if you notice, the lining already drag some part of the fabric upward. Yeah, this is how it should be. Then so that by the time you're done making your dress, the lining will not be showing from the dress underneath. So I'll go ahead, I'll close now. So if you turn it to the good side, it is ready, and I've turned it with lining. If you turn it to the wrong side, can you see how beautiful it is? This is it from the wrong side. You can see how the lining drag up the main fabric. Can you see? Our pockets. So the next thing you do now is to attach this upper part to the lower part. So you match them together.
That will be the end of the class for today. If you like to see how I made the upper part? Let me know in the comment section so that I can upload the tutorial. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.